Hi, it's Willow here, and I'm here today on location at my local library, and I'm going to show you guys my photography and jewelry exhibit that I have going on here called Dystopian Flames. And the dystopian flames are actually open oil flares. I did a photojournalism spread on the oil flaring situation going on in southeast Saskatchewan. I've done a couple of videos on the subject that you can check out. I'll link to those as well. And I've also written about it on my blog over the years, actually. And I think the thing that kind of hits home with this exhibit is that a couple days before I put this exhibit up, one of the women I talked about in the article on the dystopian flames, the open oil flares, passed away from cancer after a long battle with cancer. And I found out that another man that I mentioned in the article, who is a retired battery operator, who had health problems, I would correlate it to battery operating and sort of the chemicals and the heavy metals that people are being exposed to on a daily basis. I found out that he is actually getting a kidney transplant, so that's great news. But I also found out that one of the men in my one of my photographs of a cattle kind of roundup has been diagnosed with cancer for the second time now. So the reason that I do these types of exhibits, the reason that I write about this subject, the reason that I do photojournalism and risk censure from the oil industry and from people in that area is that this represents real people's lives. This is really going on. These oil flares and the releases of gases from the well sites and the battery sites in general, it's a combination of situations. It's not just the oil flares. The oil flares are definitely one major problem as far as releases of toxic gases, toxic chemicals, and heavy metals and things of that nature. There are also releases of gases going on directly from the well sites and the batteries themselves, as well as radioactivity that's being released. This, maybe if you're living in the city, this is far away from your frame of reference. Possibly you've never even seen an open oil flare. Possibly you've never seen a pump jack. You definitely don't live directly by a cluster of open oil flares the way my parents now do, the way many of our neighbors now do, are now forced to. The oil industry just forced a flow line under my dad's land that he did not want under his land. So, there's a lot of talk about pipelines and the dangers of pipelines and all of this type of thing. And, those dangers are legitimate, but there is almost zero public understanding of the dangers of oil flares and just, the battery and well sites in general, the toxic air quality that surrounds these places and the very real effects this has on people's health. Okay, people's lifespans are being shortened. People are dying from this. They're getting cancer, they're getting autoimmune disorders, they're having organ failures, they're having arthritis from the buildup of heavy metals. Their health and their well-being is being affected, and it's easy to just sort of brush that aside. But this is the real cost, the true cost of oil production in Canada and really all over the world. So again, I would ask for increased public awareness on this subject and pressure for a ban of open oil flaring because these flares, the gases could be captured underground in other ways without being released directly into the environment. I'd also ask for guidelines, legitimate guidelines on how far an oil flare can be from a person's home or business and how many oil flares can exist in a small area. Because right now there's almost no regulation. There are clusters of oil flares going on. As in the case of my parents' ranch, this cluster is kind of surrounding their home right now. So this is one of the reasons why I'm doing the dystopian flames photo exhibit and the writing about it. And anyway, without further ado, I will head into the library and show you the exhibit, because the exhibit is also about the beauty of Saskatchewan, and that's what makes, you know, the oil industry and the oil flaring even more heartbreaking, is that it really mars this beautiful prairie landscape and stops us from enjoying it, stops wild animals and livestock from enjoying it. But there is so much beauty to be seen in Saskatchewan, and Saskatchewan is often a province that people kind of look down on for some reason, and there's a constant refrain of there's nothing to see in Saskatchewan, right? A lot of people call it the gap between Alberta and Manitoba. Like, it's just a gap that you have to cross, traverse. There's nothing to see there. So my photography exhibit is blowing those theories, blowing those ideas out of the water. And there's a theme in this exhibit of there's nothing to see in Saskatchewan. Look a little closer. So this is a full shot of the dystopian flame side of the exhibit. We have the artful flames here, as well as the article that I wrote, which I will link to. Then we have a, can I see this? Dystopian flame zine that I put out as well, as kind of a complement to this exhibit. And over on this side, we have the actual, oops, it's a little hard to see, but we have the actual photojournalism element of the display. And this is a flare that, this is a kind of a big flare that is less than a mile south of my parents' ranch that I took some photos of, just so that people can see. There's a pump jack. This is 4 pump jacks, and then in the background you can see 2 more there. And this is kind of just to give an idea of the motion, the constant motion, constant grinding, groaning motion. The quiet of the prairies is definitely no longer there in these areas. And then these are some of the signs posted by the oil industry, just literally telling people what's going on there. And then under that I have some nicer photography. These are the people and the animals that are being affected, really. Some horses, Bo and Pal are horses. Nice photo of some Charolais cattle. Some cowboying. And this just kind of gives a sense of the prairie landscape. And over on this side, more lovely prairie photos, and then some beautiful sunsets down at the bottom. And then we'll go on to the other side. There's some beautiful thistle flowers. This is called the old green and yellow, because Saskatchewan's colors are green and yellow, and you can kind of see why. It's very green and very yellow. Underneath we have some wildflowers, wild roses, tiger lilies, which are the Saskatchewan flower. And then here is just kind of a nice prairie mix, prairie grasses mix, kind of a subtle palette, let's call it. Gives kind of a peaceful, sweet feel. And then we have some beautiful wild roses that grow along the roads. And then these are some winter shots as well. And then I also have a little jewelry display going on here. Got some gorgeous turquoise necklaces, bracelets, earrings. We have some beautiful agate Z beads. And It's right around Valentine's Day, so we have a love theme going on here. Weeping Willow Designs. That is me. And then on the other side, more love theme. We have some beautiful pearls, some more turquoise, and some onyx, and some amethyst. So this is an exhibit. We kind of have Beauty and the Beast, right? This is the beauty side. Whoop, make sure I don't trip as I walk backward. This is the beauty side, and the dystopian flames are, I tried to make them beautiful, as beautiful as I could, but they are quite hideous. So this Dystopian Flames photo and jewelry exhibit is going on at my local library during the month of February 2019, and then it's going to come back from May 1st to June 30th, 2019. So if anyone would like more information, I don't like giving out my exact location on the internet, but if anyone would like more information on this exhibit, it's located in the southeastern part of British Columbia. So if you live in that area and you might like more information on it, you can just contact me.